This podcast is sponsored by the Fireman Moving Company. The Fireman Moving Company is the official moving company of WKU Athletics. Not only can they be trusted to move all the coaches in and out of Western, but they can move you anywhere nationwide. The Fireman Moving Company is owned and operated by firemen and is founded by WKU alumni. If you are looking to move sometime soon, give them a call at 270-791-1755 and get yourself a free quote. Welcome to Topper Talk, your number one Western Kentucky athletics podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Moffitt, and I'm joined by co-host Tyler Bailey. Hilltopper Nation, whether it's happening on the hill or on the road, grab those red towels, stand up and cheer, because it's up next on Topper Talk. All right, welcome back, and thank you for downloading and listening to another episode of the Topper Talk podcast. We are the official podcast of the Red Towel Trust Collective, and we are a proud member and the WKU representative of the College Huddle podcast community. Make sure you're following us on all of our social media platforms so you're up to date with all the news, information, stats, and episodes that we're releasing. Be sure to check out our YouTube channel, subscribe over there, give us a rating and a review, comment on those episodes. We'd love to have you over there watching those. As always, I've got Tyler here with me, man. We've got a big and jam-packed episode to dive into, man. You ready to get started?
Yeah, man, let's get into it. This one's going to be a doozy.
But before we dive into some game recaps and game previews, we've got to get caught up with our Red Towel wrap-up, which catches us up with all the WKU sports news that has happened since we last recorded. And as always, that is brought to us by Trent Bedding Company.
Don't forget your headboards, pillows, and your sheets. We got everything you need for a good night's sleep. Number one on the same check, best of Bowling Green.
All right. Hey! Twins, full, queen and king, mattresses for anything. Come and pick it out and we can bring it to your house. Have you sleeping real good before the weekend's out. Trent Bedding. It's just like a mattress store. Hey.
Actually, I would like to say that I did not know that song was originally written by Twang and Round. Just saw that on the screen right there. So let's start off. Tegan Moore, he announced last week that he would be redshirting the rest of this season as he is recovering from a hip injury, and it is taking longer than expected to heal.
Yeah, I think Tegan released that information on Instagram basically right after we posted and recorded last week, previewing the Liberty game and recapping the Louisiana Tech game. So been a while since that news has been announced. Officially out there. He obviously had missed the starting of the season, the first 4 or 5 games, and was unsure if or when he would come back, and just made the executive decision for the betterment of his health, not rush himself back, let his body fully recover this entire season. And you have to respect that. I think he's looking out for the best interest of his health and longevity and career. So obviously we wish full and speedy recovery for Tegan and look forward to seeing him back on the court next season.
All right, so now y'all better buckle in because we're going to have a long list of honors for WKU volleyball. Let's start off with first, the Conference USA Coach of the Year goes to Travis Hudson. And then the Conference USA Player of the Year goes to Kaylee Cox. Conference USA Setter of the Year goes to Callie Bauer. Conference USA First Team All-Conference goes to Callie Bauer, Kennedy Cole, Kaylee Cox, and Izzy Vanderwild. And then Conference USA Second Team All-Conference goes to Olivia Skidmore. Conference USA All-Freshman Team goes to Olivia Skidmore and Faith Young.
Yeah, so when you win a lot of volleyball matches, which now I believe our team has won 24 straight and went undefeated through the Conference USA regular season, which we talked about ad nauseum in the non-conference part of the schedule when they had a little bit of a rough patch and lost some matches early on in the season to some really good competition. We said this team is going to be just fine. There's a ton of talent on this team, and they were really just, sharpening the axe, making themselves more battle tested and ready for when conference season did come around. And they just ran straight through the competition, just like we expected. Travis Hudson doesn't rebuild. He just reloads. Kaylee Cox replacing Paige Briggs, last year's Conference USA Player of the Year. She was a preseason Player of the Year before the season started. Then, as we blew through the conference schedule, she was the postseason Conference Player of the Year. Hudson probably did one of his better coaching jobs in his 30-year career with a team that didn't have the star power of some of the former years and had a shorter bench than a lot of years he's coached here. And then obviously he had his own health issues and one of his assistant coaches as well. And this team just still put it all together, had a great season, and deserved all these accolades.
Let's keep it here on the volleyball train. They actually won the Conference USA tourney, no surprise there, and clinched the NCAA tournament auto bid for the 6th straight year. And to get there, they beat FIU, Kennesaw State University, and New Mexico State University.
Yeah, and the usual suspects, Kaylee Cox was the tournament MVP, Kennedy Coyle, Callie Bauer, and Izzy Vanderweil made the conference all team. So, just a great team, just led by some really solid seniors, and just put it all together. Left no doubt, perfect regular season, and then go ahead and win that conference tournament. And the NCAA selection show for the tournament is on this coming Sunday, December 1st. So they'll get to find out when and who they are playing, and hopefully they get just a decent draw. It's hard to know what to expect, this year when they're not top 25 officially ranked. But they are receiving votes. So I'm not really sure where to expect them to be ranked. I would guess in that 6 to 7 or 7 to 9 type range. So who knows? Might have a decently favorable matchup in the first round, and hopefully make some noise and win a couple games.
And we're going to keep it right here. And speaking of the usual suspects, WKU volleyball outside hitter Kaylee Cox was selected 18th overall to the Columbus Fury of the Pro Volleyball League.
Yeah, so second year in a row, we've had a Hilltopper drafted into the league following Paige Briggs. Last year, she was a very high draft selection in the inaugural year of the Pro Volleyball League. Then we also have assistant coach Jenna Otek that also was picked up by a team during the offseason. So when that season does start, and as this collegiate season is ending, she'll be going and playing professionally as well. So we'll have at least 3 Hilltoppers that I'm aware of. I think Laura Matthews is still playing overseas somewhere. So, I think if she wanted to, she easily could come play in that league because she was a great all-around player as well. But definitely congratulations are in order for Kaylee Cox. Just has had an amazing career, and proved this year that just how good and valuable a player she is, and help lead us to a great season, and now into the postseason. And hopefully we make a little bit more noise before we send her off to the Pro Volleyball League.
Now we're going to switch on over to to the basketball teams. Starting off with the men's basketball, they announced the official signings of Armello Boone and Lawson Rice.
Yeah, a couple Kentucky high school kids signing their letters of intent, to play here at Western Kentucky. There's going to be a lot of turnover on this roster next year. I think we have 7 players on the roster currently that will be exhausting their eligibility. So, I wouldn't be surprised if these are the only 2 high school signees of this class. I would almost bet that the rest of our roster spots will be filled by some JUCO guys that are out there, and or some transfer portal guys that we'll use to plug holes with some experience instead of having a really, really young team coming back next year. So, but congratulations to those 2, a couple Kentucky boys, Woodford County and Butler County, coming here to play on the Hill. Congratulations, and excited for them.
Staying with men's basketball, they beat Jackson State to a score of 79-62.
Yeah, we were at that game. That was a home game. Good, convincing win against a pretty good Jackson State team that should finish pretty high in the SWAC. But always good to get a victory. We got to watch that one from a different perspective, being up there in the media area at Ditto Arena. So it was a fun experience. It was a good win.
It was for sure. We're going to stay right here. Sadly, last night, whenever we record on Wednesday, the men's basketball team went up to Rupp Arena, played number 8 UK, and they lost 68-87. I know a lot of people would look down at that, but I would like to say that we saw some stuff in there that gave me hope. I mean, we played great defense. We held Kentucky to their lowest 3-point shooting percentage of the year. Now, granted, we didn't shoot good neither, but I think that's really good for us. Man, we did lose 68-87, like I said.
Yeah, it's a 19-point defeat on paper is what that ended up being, but with I think it was 12 minutes left in the game, we were within 7, so we were within striking distance, and just right there. Played that team, a really good UK team with a lot of talent that Mark Pope has assembled. Played them a lot better than some of the other really good opponents they've played this year. So I don't hang my head and not ashamed of that defeat. Obviously, we would have loved to won or loved to even made it closer than what the final score was. But I don't think that final score is indicative of just how competitive and how good that we played in that game. And if we can continue to put good competitive and good effort and defensive games together, like you said, we didn't shoot very well in that game, and some of that was UK defense. Some of it was just we weren't making shots, and that happens. If we can continue to prove and show that effort that we showed against Kentucky, and Julius Stedford continues to play like he was playing last night, I think we're going to have a really good season. We've got a really good team, and I think our best basketball is still ahead of us for this team.
For sure. Now let's move on to the women's basketball. They beat Abilene Christian 68-64, and they also beat North Dakota 74-69. Acacia Hayes was named Conference USA Player of the Week. Sorry about that. The women's basketball team also beat Tennessee Tech 92-62. They start the season 6-0 now, and that's the third best start in program history.
Yeah, kind of crazy that they played 3 times now since we last recorded. I think it was 8 days ago. 3 games in 8 days, all 3 victories, a couple of them close there, but the most recent one tonight, as we record earlier today on Wednesday, they played and blew out Tennessee Tech. So they've just had an amazing start to their season. Really seeing a lot of good things, a lot of good depth, a lot of spread out scoring. The new pieces have definitely added to this roster. Greg Collins has responded from just a couple rough years where, the team just at times would crumble and fall apart and not win games that they were leading for a majority of. And their third best start in program history for one that's as storied as the Lady Toppers basketball program is, with multiple Final Four appearances, a national runner-up finish in their history. So that's saying a lot to have the third best start in program history. So definitely congrats to the Lady Hilltoppers, and hopefully they keep that rolling.
Moving on to some football. Tyson Summers, he was nominated for the Bros Award, which honors the nation's top assistant coach.
Yeah, congratulations to Coach Summers. We've been really high on Coach Summers for a couple of years now. He's put some good defenses on the field. I think we all know and we're all aware of kind of the run defense struggles that have affected us lately. But overall, his defenses have been top notch. Holding teams to about 18 points per game this year, not named Alabama. So really good coach. Really glad to have him on our sideline. Obviously, we hope that the run D side of things get shored up a little bit this week, and we'll talk about that here shortly. But definitely deserved recognition for Coach Summers.
And the Pro Tops, hashtag Pro Tops, Tyler Higbee, he returned to practice with the Rams.
Yeah, he had been on that injured reserved for the season as it started. He had an ACL injury late in the year last year in the playoffs, I do believe, and started the year on injured reserve. Was taken off of it a couple weeks ago, so they had 4 weeks to get him practicing and being available for games. So back to practice now. I'm not sure if we'll see him in a live game this weekend, but maybe by next weekend he'll be back on the field catching some passes for the Rams there. So happy for Big Rig Higgs to officially be back on the field.
And with that, we conclude this week's episode of the Red Tail Wrap Up. Moth, back to you.
Yeah, really good, really informative. Knew we had a lot of news to share since we last recorded, especially with the volleyball season kind of coming to an end and all those awards and accolades, basketball, women's and men's going on. A lot of news to share there. But now we've got to dive into the football game. We've got to talk about this Liberty game recap, which was this past Saturday now. At the time coming into the game, WKU was in the driver's seat and controlling their own destiny to potentially play in and host the Conference USA Championship. But instead, for the second week in a row, we were handed a loss. This time it was a 38-21 loss. Our run defense was again exposed, just like it was versus Louisiana Tech, just like it was versus New Mexico State. We've now seen a third straight game where we're just getting gashed on the ground. Liberty was able to pile up 419 yards rushing. We knew they were a good rushing team, but 400 yards is just insane. WKU now falls to a 7-4 overall record. We are 5-2 in conference, while Liberty is 8-2 overall, and they are also 5-2 in conference. WKU now needs help to play in the conference championship game, which will be played at Jacksonville State. They have secured that. They are currently undefeated in conference. Ourselves, Liberty, and Sam Houston all have 2 losses in conference play. Liberty and Sam Houston are playing this Friday, Black Friday, as we record on Wednesday. So we will know by the time we kick off on Saturday or Friday night, we will know that it is going to take a Sam Houston win in that game. Liberty is going to have to lose because they own the tiebreaker, the head-to-head tiebreaker with us, whereas we own the head-to-head tiebreaker with Sam Houston. So we need Sam Houston to win. We need Liberty to lose. And then if that happens, then we have to take care of business against Jacksonville State. We have to beat them as they are currently undefeated in conference play. So now we need help, and we'll see, how that goes. Obviously, we'll talk about the Jacksonville State game and senior night coming up, this coming Saturday after we get through with this recap. But Tyler, jump in, give me your thoughts on this Liberty game and just, how it went, how it played out. Obviously, kind of ugly, kind of got ran over a little bit, but at this point, it is what it is. What were your thoughts on the game?
The game lasted too long. I was sitting there and I was watching it, and it, just saw a lot of things that kind of pissed me off. When you start the game off with 2 back-to-back interceptions, we end up losing the turnover battle by 3. We'll talk about that later. It was rough, and then you see what Quentin Cooley and their QB did, and there was some drives where they didn't pass the ball; they just ran it every play, and they ended up getting touchdowns off of it, or at least chewing up that clock. But I knew it was going to be a fist fight. I knew it was going to be a hard fought game because Liberty is suspect. We've seen that throughout the season, but I guess they got fired up and and if they watch what La Tech did to us, it kind of shows the game plan of how you want to beat Western. And I think we're definitely going to need to step up this week and show that, hey, you're not going to do it to us and you're going to beat us another way. But the game was tough to watch for me.
Yeah, it was a rough one. Liberty definitely saw the blueprint. They saw the formula to beat us, and that's control the clock, control the ball, stay on the field, and extend drives. And they were, key to victory for at least me, was, win on first and second down, and they were consistently picking up 6, 7, 8 yards on first down on their run plays. So setting themselves up for second and short, third and really short, easy convertible first downs. But yeah, like you said, this game did start very sloppy. First quarter, we had turnovers by the tops with a Caden Veltkamp throwing those 2 interceptions. We also held Liberty to their only punt of the game on their first possession. Liberty also had a turnover on downs in the first quarter, and then a fumble late in the first quarter that was recovered by Devontae Matthews. The fumble strip that was taken away. Luckily, that one, as much as I saw people complaining about that one getting blown dead, should have been a touchdown. They should have let that one play out and then reviewed it. But, we still got on the board. We still scored a touchdown on that drive, which was early in the second quarter. Was a receiving touchdown by Dalvin Smith. So we didn't lose any points because of that call, but it sure did highlight just some of the poor officiating in this game. Just seemed like every possible call just went against us, or it just was ugly. It by any means, it didn't cost us this game, but it just, Conference USA refs gonna Conference USA ref, man. It was bad. But after Dalvin Smith scored that touchdown to give us the lead at 7-0, Liberty immediately struck back with an 8-play, 82-yard drive to tie it up. The next possession was a fumble by Keyshawn, recovered by Liberty, and they turned that into a long touchdown drive to take the lead at 14-7. We punted after we got the ball back. Liberty scored again, making it 21-7. They went 90 yards in 7 plays, and only 45 seconds came off the clock. They used 3 timeouts, a couple passing plays, got out of bounds to stop the clock, and went 90 yards in 45 seconds. I had to go back and look at that twice. Like, is that a mistake? No, they engineered a good drive and scored. We went to halftime down 21-7. We got the ball first in the second half. We scored. Then Liberty also scored, making the score 21-14 at the time. Liberty scored again, making it 28-14. We scored again, making it 28-21, but then Liberty added a field goal to make it 31-28. We got the ball back, down 10. Basically with the time left on the clock, we basically had to go down. We had to score a touchdown to keep ourselves in this game. But we were forced to punt, which was a little surprising. Down 10 with the way the game was playing, and we punted. But it is what it is. We punted. Liberty, added more points on the board. We couldn't stop their run. That final score made it 38-21. And that would be how the game would end. We ended up turning it over on downs, and Liberty was basically able to run out the clock and kneel on the ball. So Tyler, man, again, just looking at this game flow, it started ugly and it kind of ended ugly. There was some decent, good football, in the middle there. If you can take away dumb penalties and take away turnovers, fumbles and interceptions, you could make a case that we could have been in this game. But when you start out that far behind, you have to really dig yourself out of a hole and almost play perfect football to come back and beat a team like Liberty, who's going to play ball control with their rushing attack. So, before we jump into some stats and leaders for this game, what are your thoughts on just how this game played out?
Oh, definitely not in our favor, because you're right. When you start out, and it's good that even though we had 2 interceptions back to back on our first 2 drives, we still held them to 0 points in the first quarter. That second quarter, earlier in the season, it was our third quarter slump. That's when we would kind of quit playing D or something, or quit playing offense, and the other team would kind of pull it closer. This week, it was obviously the second quarter when they put up 21. I would say some questionable coaching. I think it was there at halftime, or right before halftime, whenever they scored with less than a minute to go. Helton called a timeout, and I think if he wouldn't have did that, they would have burnt more clock. But their run game, was able to get 20 or 30 yards downfield, and then they was like, "Well, screw it, let's just score it." And it scored on them. but it was wild that we was able to come back and get within 10. But the game flow was up and down there at the beginning, at the end. But I mean, the offense came out and played. Take away the interceptions, the punts. Or you can't take away the punts, interceptions, and the fumbles. If we could control that and have better ball control, we are definitely in this game. We are definitely, I would say, probably a good chance of winning it. But you can't give good teams extra possessions, and that's exactly what we did. But man, this one just hurts, dude.
Yeah, at this point, it is what it is. It was a heck of a ball game. We knew it was going to be a tough ball game, that we would have to play a lot cleaner than what we did to get that victory on the road. So let's look at and talk about some of these stat leaders for the game. Our leading passer was Caden Veltkamp. He was 20 out of 34 for 262 yards with 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions listed on ESPN's website. I remember 2. I don't remember a third interception, but they had him listed for 3, so we're going to call it 3. Elijah Young was our leading rusher. He had 9 carries for 60 yards. Caden Veltkamp added 8 carries for 30 yards. And then Jalen Hampton got a couple carries. I hadn't seen him in a while. He had 2 carries for 20 yards. And then George Hart III had a rushing touchdown, found the end zone again. Congratulations to him. Our leading receivers were Keyshawn Johnson. He has 7 catches for 94 yards and a touchdown. Dalvin Smith had 4 for 63 and a touchdown. And then Easton Messer had 4 catches for 53 yards. On the defensive side, our leaders were Devontae Matthews. He has 16 tackles. 8 of those were solo. He had a forced fumble and a fumble recovery. That strip that should have been a touchdown, should have been a fumble 6, quite frankly. But we still scored, like we've already mentioned. Upton Stout also added 10 tackles. He has 6 solo and half a tackle for loss. Deontay McCray added 9 tackles. Dallas Walker had 8 tackles. Kent Robinson had 4 tackles and a sack. Interestingly enough, we had no kick returns in this game, no punt returns in this game, no field goal attempts. But Lucas Canario was 3 out of 3 on extra points. And Cole Maynard had 2 punts on the day for an 81 total yards for a 40.5 yard punting average. Tyler, what are your thoughts on the individual performances in this game? Did anybody or anything or anyone else jump out to you and stand out as having a good game?
Caden Veltkamp is while he was passing, he also ended up having 8 carries for 30 yards. And Jalen Hampton, 2 carries, 20 yards, his long of 11. And it is good to see George Hart III find that pay dirt. It's good to have him back there as kind of as a power back, kind of, if you got to get it, he's going to get it for you. Easton Messer, I thought he had a good game. Dalvin Smith, it was good to see him kind of reeling in catches. It's been a while since we've seen him do that this season. It's kind of been kind of down for him, I feel like. Keyshawn, other than that one fumble that he had, which I was hoping and praying that his knee or elbow or he was down before the ball came out. It didn't. I thought the receiving core played good. Caden was 20 of 34. I kind of wish we had, maybe 7 more completions. And the defense, it was good to see them strip Cooley. I kind of wish they would have stopped Billy Lucas some more. But Keyshawn Swanson, he had 7, total tackles, 1 solo. Kind of wish we had just something. Sebastian Benjamin, he had 4 total tackles, 1 solo, 1.5 tackle for loss. Kylan Goodry, 4 total tackles, 3 solo, 2 tackles for loss. Kent Robinson, 4 total, 4 solo, 1 sack, which we needed, and 1 tackle for loss. Upton Stout, he also had that half tackle for loss. We had 101 total tackles, 35 solo. So we was up there getting good gang tackles on them. But team played good ish. We definitely saw some glaring problems, especially on defense with the run defense. And then the offense, I wish the punter could have stayed off the field. I'm glad Maynard came out, had 2 for a total of 81 yards. That's awesome. Also wish we could have got more points on the boards via Lucas. I just wish we could have gotten closer enough to use him. But, at some point, whenever you're down 10 or so, I mean, the kicker and the punter don't exist. You have to go for 7. But it is what it is, man.
Yeah, now let's jump into some of those key indicators that we highlight every game. I think, this really just kind of highlights just how good Liberty was in this game. First downs for the game, WKU had 19, Liberty had 29. Third down conversions, WKU was 6 out of 10, so a good game on third down conversions, 60%. But Liberty was better. They were 8 out of 13. That's 67, 68%. Very good game for them as well. Total yards gained, 369 for WKU. 556 yards of offense for Liberty, and 419 of those were rushing. They had more rushing yards than we had total yards. And a lot of that is those, turnovers, had multiple turnovers. 2 of our turnovers were in the red zone. So going down, driving to potentially score, we don't score, and it turns into, 7 going the other way. Both times we threw those interceptions. So, just, rough start to the game, had too many empty possessions. With a team like Liberty and their rushing attack, you have to take advantage. You have to score. You have to jump out early. If you don't jump out early and they can just run all game, they don't have to pass the ball. You're at a disadvantage. And that's how it played out. Total turnovers, we had 4 for the game. Liberty had 1. And then time of possession, not as lopsided as you would think, but WKU had the ball for 25 minutes and 17 seconds. Liberty had the ball for 34 minutes and 43 seconds. Now let's jump into our grades for this game versus Liberty. Tyler, what do you have for your grade for the offense?
Well, we didn't get our season average, which is 267.4 passing yards. We were at 262. I feel like this was really a down game, so I'm going to give the offense a C minus or D plus C minus.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the C, and obviously the turnovers are going to play into that. They didn't score enough points. The turnovers obviously hurt us and did not help us. So, would love to see a little bit more. We didn't get to that 30-point magical number that, I kind of feel like you have to be in that range to win most of your conference games. So, fell short of that. Offense just didn't do enough, didn't take care of the ball enough to put themselves in position to win this game. So I'm going to give them a C. What about your grade for the defense?
I mean, defense did give up 419 yards rushing, 556 overall. Granted, they did get one strip fumble recovery, but I mean, Jesus. Billy Lucas, 19 carries, 131 yards. Quentin Cooley, 24 carries, 166 yards. And then Salter, he had 11 carries for 66 yards. Granted, we did stop him, but we let the 2 running backs just run loose on us, and we got to stop doing that. I'm going to give defense a D in this one.
Yeah, I think that's fitting. It starts with a D. You gave him a D. I'm going to go a little bit worse. I'm going to give him an F. I mean, I was close to give him a D, but just looking at the overall numbers, total yards allowed, points given up, just run defense has been exposed now, 2 going on 3 weeks now. There has to be an adjustment made, especially as we look forward to our next game. If we don't make an adjustment or don't clean something up, this season's going to really end on a sour note, quite frankly. So, not our best effort. I think we know we have the players and the tools to be better on defense. We just haven't been there the last couple weeks. So I'm going to give those guys an F. Obviously I know that the heart and the desire and the effort level is there, but just Liberty had their way with us and gashed us all game long, and did what they wanted to, especially on the ground. What about your grade for special teams?
I mean, special teams went out there and when their number was called and did what they're supposed to do, either flipping the field or kicking the extra point. We like I said, we didn't have no kick returns, no punt returns, so I'm going to give special teams an A. I mean, or just they were there, they did their jobs. A.
Yeah, same for me. I'm giving it an A as well. No blunders like we had against Louisiana Tech. No muffed kicks. No roughing the kicker penalties that extended a drive. Just a couple good clean punts and some extra points that were knocked through the field goal post. So that's all you can ask for, given what we had at play there. So I'm giving those guys an A as well. What about your grade for coaching?
Now, Helton did make some questionable calls. Some are actually in this. I think it was in the late second quarter, or at least in the third quarter. He did put in an extra linebacker, I believe, to try to stop the run. It did not work. Obviously, they have to know that Liberty, is known for running the ball. Now, they can pass the ball, but they'd much rather run it. So at some point, you have to at least game plan and get your defense to try to stop the run. And the coaches didn't do it this week. It's kind of been a running theme the last few weeks. So I'm going to give coaches a D in this one as well.
Yeah, I am also going to go with a D. Definitely some questionable decisions. Punting the ball with down 10 was a big questionable decision, in my opinion. And, at that point, I feel like you have to go for it. You have to try to put your team in a position to win. And being that we are real fans with real opinions and can be critical at times, sometimes you just have to speak the truth. And this coaching effort just wasn't the greatest, wasn't the best. Now, we're not out here calling for people to get fired. Yeah, I don't think that's the point that we're at. I think we've had a pretty good season. We've had a pretty good 6 seasons of Coach Helton. But this little stretch of games, in a vacuum, has not been fun to live through. But the crazy thing is, we're still right there. If the dominoes fall the right way and we take care of business this weekend and we get a little help from Sam Houston, we can be right there in a championship game in 2 weekends from now. So the sky is not falling. We can be real fans, we can be critical, but we can still be respectful of our program and our coaches and our players who are out there putting in a lot more sweat equity than any of the keyboard warriors or podcast hosts with microphones. So I'm going to give them a D, but I know the effort and the intensity and the desire to win is there as much as anybody. Those guys want to go out and win these games. So what about your overall grade versus Liberty?
Man, I'm just going to say a D, man. I mean, yes, special teams did what they supposed to do, didn't mess up, but it seemed like everyone else, it was just a bad day at the office, and it's been a bad couple of weeks, truthfully. So, yeah, D.
Yeah, pretty cut and dry, pretty simple. I mean, not a good effort, not a great result on the field. A lot to learn from and hopefully adjust and do better going forward. I'm also going to go with a D, and I hope that the next time we're grading, we're much higher across the board there. I like when we're in the A's and B's, but this game was not a desirable result or outcome. So sometimes you have to call a spade a spade. It was not great. We know we can do better. We know we can be better. We have the talent and the coaches to have better results. So it is what it is. We'll flush that game. It's over. We can't do anything about it. We can't change it. Congratulations to Liberty on the victory. Now we move forward and look towards our game this coming Saturday versus Jacksonville State. That game will be at 3 p.m. on Saturday, November 30th. The game will be on ESPNU. It is senior night for WKU. We enter the game at 7-4 overall. We are 5-2 in conference, while Jacksonville State is 8-3 overall. They are 7-0 in conference. The ESPN matchup predictor, basically a coin flip, 52.9% to Jacksonville State, 47.1 to WKU. WKU does lead the all-time series 4-2. with Jacksonville State winning the most recent matchup in 2023. Last year, they won the game 20-17. Interestingly enough, Vegas odds, WKU opened as a 2-point favorite in this game, and now that line is at WKU minus 1.5, so a 1.5 point favorite. I guess getting that home cooking, that home love, with an over under of 60.5. Jacksonville State, as we mentioned earlier, has clinched the Conference USA Championship game hosting site. WKU can play themselves into the championship game if and only if Liberty loses to Sam Houston on Friday, and then we must beat Jacksonville State to play ourselves into the championship game. That has to happen. 2 weeks ago, before the Louisiana Tech game, we were completely in the driver's seat of controlling our destiny, playing in, potentially hosting a championship game, and now those scales have moved. Those odds have changed to now, after 2 consecutive losses, now we have to win this Saturday, and we also have to have help from another team. With tiebreaker scenarios, we have to have Liberty lose to Sam Houston State. I don't want to say it's unlikely, but once you get into the position where you need help from another team, you need somebody that's coming off a good win, and Liberty probably just played their best game of the season at the right time. We kind of have known who they are, what they can be all season. They've been inconsistent. They had a heck of a time to have their best game of the season. So, Tyler, jump in. What are your thoughts on this preview and this upcoming game versus Jacksonville State?
Our run defense better be ready. I don't want them to practice on. I don't want the defense to practice on anything else but trying to stop the run, win, and have their way with the opposing offensive line. Because this game is going to be, like I said before, it's going to be a slobber knocker. This is when you really want to stand up and kind of prove yourself, because I hate relying on another team. Sam Houston, let's do it. But we've played ourselves into this position. It's been a bad couple of weeks for our football team, but I feel like the team's going to get fired up because they don't want to send the seniors off with a loss on senior day. But this one is going to be tough. I remember last year's game whenever they won on that walk-off kickoff or walk-off field goal. And their kicker, he was celebrating like he just won Super Bowl, which, good for him, I guess. I don't like him, but, he was happy. He was lit. I guess that says something about us, but this game is going to be hard. It's going to be close. I don't think there's any other way to try to sell it. It's just going to be a damn good game.
Yeah, and if we thought that our run defense was done being tested, Liberty that we just played is the number 2 rushing offense in all of college football, averaging 266.7 yards per game. Well, lucky for us, our next opponent, Jacksonville State, is number 3 in the country, the entire nation, in rushing offense. They're averaging 260 yards per game. And on the flip side of that, our defense is number 123 nationally in run defense out of 134 teams. We are allowing 206.4 yards per game, and that is including giving up over 400 to Liberty last week. So going to be a tall task. I think that kind of goes without saying. It is strength of their rushing offense versus weakness of our run defense. Something is going to have to give if we want to play ourselves into contention and even the remote possibility if Liberty loses, Sam Houston wins. We are going to have a tall task ahead of us to overcome those stats, those odds, those expectations of schemes and patterns. If they do what they do and we do what we do, like you said, could be a long day at the office. Let's talk about some of the players to know for Jacksonville State. They are led by quarterback Tyler Huff. He is number 6 on offense. He is a 6'1", 215-pound senior. Passing wise, he's 144 out of 233, which is good for 61.4% completion percentage. He has 11 passing touchdowns and 5 interceptions on the season. But wait, there's more. He has 1,079 rushing yards on the season. He's averaging 6 yards per carry, and he has 13 rushing touchdowns on the year. Pretty good. He's pretty lethal. He is definitely dual threat. Their leading running back is running back Trey Stewart. He is number 28 on offense. He is a 5'10", 192-pound senior. He has 217 carries for 1,318 yards, 6.1 yards per carry, and 19 total touchdowns on the ground. Their leading wide receiver is Cam Vaughn. He's number 18. He's a 6'2", 190-pound freshman. He has 33 catches for 522 yards and 3 touchdowns. And then their second leading wide receiver is Michael Petway. He's number 2. He is a 5'10", 175-pound junior, 23 catches on the year, 392 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So, Tyler, this offense is geared around and built on the run. They are tough up front. They have a good offensive line. They have a quarterback that can pull the ball and run himself. They have a really good running back in Trey Stewart that is hard to bring down. Both of those guys averaging 6 yards per carry and over 24 touchdowns between them. So what are your thoughts on this Jacksonville State offense, which has just come to life and is going to be a tall task for our defense?
Well, Trey Stewart, he's actually 5th nationally in rush yards. In conference, Jacksonville State holds the number 1 and 3 spots in rushing yards, with Trey Stewart number 1 and Tyler Huff number 2. And this team, man, I mean, this damn team. Like I said, they'd rather run the ball. I mean, if you got 2 players averaging over 1,000, or that has over 1,000 yards rushing, and what I looked it up, their rushing yards is combined for a team is 2,860. Their passing yards or receiving yards is 2,027. So you gotta be able to set a spy back there on Tyler Huff. You got to be able to shut down Trey Stewart, or at least contain him. But because once you get past them 2, Tyler and Trey, Andrew Paul, he's another running back. He only has 28 carries for 139 yards. Logan Smothers, the backup QB, he has 16 carries for 133. So there's a real steep drop off. Trey Stewart, 217 carries, Tyler Huff, 179. If you can shut them down, I feel like we have a good chance to win this game, because I feel like our defensive backs and our, all of them can shut down, or at least pull some turnovers, some INTs, maybe force them to punt. But this game, it's going to be tough. And when I look at the receivers for Jack State, I'm not real worried. It's just them. It's just Trey Stewart and Tyler Huff that I'm real concerned about, because we've seen what our defense has done in the last 3 weeks. And dang it, man, I hate them.
Yeah, big if we can contain those 2, as you say, if we can contain them. Because quite frankly, if I was Jacksonville State, I'd run the Army offense. I wouldn't pass the ball one time. I would run, and then run some more until their legs fell off. Defensively, the guys to know, first of all, is safety Antonio Carter. He is number 8 on defense. He's a 6', 200-pound senior. He has 90 tackles on the year. 45 of those are solo, with 1 interception. Another safety, Fred Perry. He is number 6 on defense. He's a 5'11", 200-pound junior. He has 81 total tackles on the year. 36 of those are solo. He also has 3 sacks and 2 forced fumbles. And then edge rusher Reginald Hughes, he is number 5 on defense. He's a 6'2", 230-pound junior. He has 73 total tackles. 28 of those are solo, and he has 4.5 sacks on the season. As a team, I thought this was interesting. They have 11 total interceptions. They have 19 total sacks, 40 passes defended, 10 forced fumbles, and 8 fumbles recovered. So they are an aggressive, fly to the ball, make plays, disruptive, dislodge balls, get interceptions, force fumbles. They're kind of everywhere. They're kind of just making explosive plays on that side of the ball just as much as they are offensively. So Tyler, what are your thoughts on this pretty stout Jacksonville State defense for our offense?
Yeah, our offensive line better come ready to play because they're definitely going to have to protect Caden, and he better make good, smart passes. When I'm looking here at the Conference USA stats leader, Jacksonville State pulls in the number 3 and number 4 spot with leaders in interceptions. Both of them have 2. They're actually tied. There's a three spot tie for second place. You got Liberty, Jacksonville State. Anthony Johnson Jr. comes in underneath them at 5, but it's. I was surprised to see how aggressive their defense is. I mean, our offensive players better be ready to protect the ball, better be ready to make sure it don't get punched out, and Caden better be making smarter choices, smarter throws than what he did last week against Liberty, or this game's gonna get ugly quick. But I feel like our offensive line's good. I feel like they should, know what's coming and can quickly make adjustments to whatever Jacksonville State's going to throw at them.
Yeah, agreed. It's going to be a fun matchup for sure. Let's jump into our keys to victory for this game. I have a feeling where both of us are going to go with this, but let's jump into your first key to victory versus Jacksonville State.
Take their run game away. If you kind of take that run game away, I feel like you're going to put it bluntly, castrate their offense. And I mean, if there's one thing that we can do to make sure we win, it is take away that damn run offense they got.
I'm going to go with we have to start fast. What we saw in the last couple games is a really slow start out the gate. And especially versus Liberty, no points in the first quarter. We did score first, however, but in a game of this magnitude and with what's on the line and what we'll know by the time we kick off Saturday what our fate could be if we have a position or opportunity to play in the championship. We'll already know. So if we want to try to make Jacksonville State a little bit more one-sided and make them uncomfortable, make them have to drop back and pass, we have to start fast. We have to put points on the board, try to get a multiple score, multiple touchdown lead against them, which is going to be easier said than done. But we can't just be receiving punches, turning the ball over, spotting them points and possessions and falling behind, because that will play directly into their game plan and their game flow and what they want to do to control the game, control the clock, and control the scoreboard, and coast to a victory. So we have to start fast is my first key to victory. What's your second key?
Mine's going to be to win the war in the trenches, man. We've seen the last few weeks our offensive line or defensive line has been getting pushed around. When we're on offense, it seems like a run game can't really get going, can't really get them tires turning. And then on defense, it seems like the other teams, like Liberty's offensive line, just seem like they're just having their way with our guys. It's time for them to buck up and definitely win the war in the trenches.
I like that one, but I'm going to go with limit those turnovers. I think we've seen the last couple weeks that turnovers and or dumb penalties that have extended drives, and basically, they've been turnovers. If you're giving the ball back to somebody, that's a turnover, even if it doesn't go in that column. We can't throw interceptions. We can't fumble the ball on the ground. We just can't have empty drives and possessions where we come away with no points and potentially put them in short yardage field situations where they can turn around and punch the ball in the end zone quickly and put our tired defense right back out on the field. So we have to take care of the ball. We talked about how good they are on offense, and then we talked about how disruptive and how aggressive they are on defense. So that has to be top of mind. We have to take care of the ball, value the ball, and just go down and score points. Take care of the ball, no turnovers, win that turnover battle. Be the aggressor, knocking balls out, taking balls away, getting interceptions. We've got to win the turnover battle to beat Jacksonville State. What's your third key to victory?
Sustained drives. Granted, against Liberty, we only had 2 punts, but against La Tech, we had a few more. We definitely got to we got to use up more of the clock. If you stay on the field longer, you keep their offense from being on the field, which last 2 weeks, last 3 weeks, if you want to count New Mexico State, they've been scoring. We definitely got to keep their offense off the field. And then we go down there, put some points on the board, 3 or 7. But as long as they're punting or you're forcing turnovers, I will take 3 points all day, every day. But you got to sustain the drives instead of going, 4 and out, maybe 5 and out, or 4 and out or 8 and out, but 7 and out. You just got to be able to stay on the field longer.
Yeah, and I think we did a pretty good job of that last game of sustaining drives, but we would get down there and turn the ball over. So I'm right there with you. I think we have to sustain drives, keep drives going, and more or less kind of keep that time of possession closer to even. If we let their run game gash us all game long and win on first and second down, like we've talked about in previous games, and if they have a 2-1 advantage with time of possession and having the ball, it's hard to score enough points to beat anybody in 20 minutes, but especially a team that's as effective and as efficient as Jacksonville State should be. So we have to sustain drives on offense, and then on the flip side of that, conversely, we have to stop them on defense. We have to get off the field on third down. We only forced 1 punt versus Liberty. We've got to do more than that to have a chance to win this game versus Jacksonville State. Tall task. It's going to be a tough game. It's a tough matchup. But we have to have that championship mentality and go in there and play our best game and put ourselves in that position. Tyler, who is your MVP for this crucial game with Jacksonville State?
I'm not going to go offense in this one. I'm going position. Most valuable position is going to definitely be the whole defense, but I'm going to go nickelback because I feel like you set him down as a spy on Tyler Huff, or you set some people down on Trey Stewart. You're definitely going to hamper them, but it's going to be up to Stout for me. They're at the nickelback position. I feel like we're going to have to spy our ass off in this game because I feel like they're probably going to run the option, and we saw Liberty do it. They had great success to it in a few plays, but we're definitely going. I'm going to go up and Stout in it.
I'm going to go with QB1. I'm going to go with Caden Beltcamp. I think we've seen a little bit of a rough stretch of games for him, including Louisiana Tech, including the Liberty game. We've not seen his best or finest or cleanest football. I think that has to change. I think he has to play a good game. I think he has to lead us to victory. And I told someone else in a text conversation, I said, the game against Louisiana Tech, I don't think he didn't lose us that ball game by any means, but he also didn't go out and win that ball game either. He had some passes that he missed, some overthrows that could have put us in better position to potentially still win that game, even as poorly as we did play. But I think we're going to need him to step up, even as a first year starter, redshirt sophomore, 7th, 8th start, whatever it is now under his belt. I don't look at him as a first year starter at this point in the season. He has taken hits, been in a lot of games, played a lot of football. And he's a seasoned vet at this point. He should know what's coming. He knows the game plan. He knows the playbook. He knows what's in front of him as far as what the opportunity can be if we win this game. So I think it has to be Caden Veldkamp. I think it has to be him making smart decisions, leading our offense, not turning the ball over. Just all the things that he has been doing for the majority of this season, but we have seen a little bit less of the last couple weeks. So give me Caden Veldkamp. Tyler, what is your score prediction versus Jacksonville State?
Let's see how last year was 2017, and then I just have a sneaking suspicion that it's going to be a low scoring game because with their run offense, they're going to chew up a lot of clock. I feel like we're going to put up some points on the board. Give me a 24-20 Tops victory.
24-20 Tops victory. I think it's going to be higher scoring than that, because I think they are going to be efficient with the ball. I don't think they're going to cough it up a lot. I think they're going to ground and pound this game and us into submission, quite frankly. I think I see them putting up, let's call it 38 points. And I see Western putting up, let's call it 31 points. So 38-31. I think it's going to be a tough game and a tough hill to climb, so to speak, for us to get this victory, even coming in as betting favorites, even coming in with Tyson Helton, who I believe is undefeated on senior nights, if I recall from the Field Steel magazine. I don't think he's ever lost a senior night game in his tenure on the hill. But this one is going to be a tough matchup, and just the way this season has wound down and ended over the last few weeks, and just strength versus weakness, it's going to be tough to outmatch and slow them down to the point where we can get this victory. We'll literally have to play nearly a perfect game, both defensively and offensively, to slow this team down, who has so far just run through Conference USA quite literally with their rushing offensive attack. So I don't like to call it. I don't like to predict a loss, but that just is what this one feels like with the way the last few weeks have gone. And then also the way that Jacksonville State is just playing and their strength of their rushing offense. I just think it'll be too much to overcome. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we do this recap several days from now, whenever we get a chance to come back and record. And I hope I'm eating crow, and I hope we're dancing and celebrating that Sam Houston beat Liberty Friday night, and we turned around and we beat Jacksonville State on Saturday. And then we have, quite frankly, what that is leading us directly to a rematch with Jacksonville State on Friday, December 6th in Jacksonville. So, if we beat them once, we've got to beat them twice, quite frankly, if we want to win a conference championship. So that's the goal. That's what we want to get to, and we're going to have to play really good football to beat them. And we haven't seen, our team play really, really good football, for an entire game of an entire 4 quarters in quite some time this season. So it's a tall task. But again, I hope I'm wrong. I hope we upset them. I hope we ruin their perfect Conference USA season and play ourselves into the championship and run it back. Let's do it again. I hope I'm wrong. So we'll see. But Tyler, looking forward to this game. We've got a double header. We've got the Moonshine Throwdown basketball game. Directly following this game. The football game's at 3, the basketball game's at 7. So, make it a long day on the hill. Come watch some football and then go warm up inside the Diddle and watch some basketball. We just put out an episode earlier today. Got the link back up with Trace and KD from our former Moonshine Throwdown podcast days. Got the link up with those guys to do an episode previewing that basketball game coming back up and just what it means to both of our fan bases and the teams this early in the season and non-conference. So should be a fun game. Should be a fun day on the hill, full of sports. So I'm really looking forward to it, and obviously, um, both of us getting a chance to come back and recap those games after they happen, with hopefully a couple Hilltopper victories. But Tyler, jump on in here, give us your final thoughts, and take us on out of here.
Yeah, I was looking on the field still whenever you talk about that. We've won our last 10 games, final regular season games since we've been in Conference USA. And, beating an undefeated opponent on the last game of the season ain't nothing new to us. We did it against Marshall back in, 2014, 2013, 2014. And that's what kicked off the Moonshine Throwdown. I wish I wish I had KD on here to reminisce about that. But Jacksonville State, yes, they're riding hot hand right now. They're flying high. But nothing will make me happier than to see them walk out of Howard-Smith Stadium, heads hung low, and us and Sam Houston absolutely beating the brakes off of Liberty. Or if you just want to win by 1 point, Sam Houston, I don't care. Just get it done, please. But yeah, I don't see why people want to be so negative, and we end up losing 2 games in a row, and they're already talking about fire Hilton. It's not my style to give up on a coach that easy. Am I happy with what's happening on the field? No, but sometimes it ain't on the coach; it's on the players. The coach, as you like to say, coach can only do so much. Coach can tell him what to do. He can set it up perfectly for him. But when the players ain't going to execute or do what you tell them to do, then it's on them. It is what it is. I'm not going to hang my head low since we've lost these 2 games. I'm going to keep on being stubborn, keep on cheering for the Tops. I am excited about the doubleheader, though. Those are my favorite days. And I think my wife is going to be in Bowling Green eating with her friends. I'm going to have Reed with me.
I was about to ask, are you coming?
Hey, that's the plan right now. I'm going to have Reed there with me, more than likely. So hopefully I get to meet up with KD and them, if they're able to make the trip down there, which I hope they are. But, I can't wait to recap both them games. Hopefully, like you said, we both come up with the Tops victory. It would be nice for Marshall to schedule some football again, kind of like, UK, whenever you want to man up and get the red team from down south to come up and play again. Nashville, play St. Houchins. I mean, we had Vanderbilt in there. Ain't no reason you can't do it. Have Cutter Bowley be QB. We'll have another Kentucky player, Caden, be ours, and we'll see which one walks out with a victory. But with that being said, as always, Moff, who has it better than us, bro?
Nobody, buddy. You know it.
Go Tops, y'all.
Go Tops. Later, guys.
See you.